Hello, ladies and gentlemen. The Japan Science and Technology Agency and Sakura Science Club in Vietnam are delighted to welcome you to sharing our experience studying in and working abroad. We hope to encourage SSP alumni, many from Vietnam members, to pursue further studying by showing the real positive experience of people studying, researching, or getting a job in Japan and other countries. Additionally, we would like to remind SSCV alumni about Japan, about Sakura Science Program. My name is Nguyen Chi Long. I have joined the Sakura Science Program in 2016. It's my honor to be the moderator today. First, I would like to explain the agenda today. We are pleased to have a speech from honorable guests and keynote session from guest speaker. Later, we will have a short photo time and then sharing experience of SSCV members. Finally, JASSO office in Vietnam will give the introductions about study and work in Japan. It will see a quick questionnaire at the end of webinar, so please fill it out if possible. The opinions are significant to us. We will send a webinar attendance certificate to you via email. Each section with invite speaker will have a short time for question and answer, and please feel free to type your questions in the Q&A box. We ask your understanding that we can only answer some of the questions due to time limits of the webinar. Without further ado, let me invite Mr. Ngô Văn Quyền, the main coordinator of SSCV, to deliver his opening speech. Mr. Ngô Văn Quyền, are you there?
Yeah. Thank you, Miss Nguyen Chi Long.
Yeah, the screen is yours, please.
Yeah. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nguyen, the main coordinator of Sakura Science Club in Vietnam, or SSCV for short. I welcome you all to our SSCV second meet with great honor and my pleasure. First, I would like to express my great attitude towards Japan Science and Technology for organizing this webinar together with SSCV today. Sakura Science Club in Vietnam was founded in 2019, and we are the Alumni Association of Sakura Science Program Vietnamese, attending with thousands of Vietnamese researchers and students who have joined Sakura Science Program. The first meeting of SSCV were in 2019. After that, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we could not see each other in person. So thanks to the modern technology, we can see each other here online today without limitation in place. Today's webinar provides an opportunity for everyone to gather after over 2 years. It's a long period of time. And today, we are honored to welcome Mr. YAMADA from Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of Japan to Vietnam. Mr. Vũ Hồng Nam from Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of the Socialist Republic of Vietnam to Japan. We are also very thankful to Dr. Lê Văn Lịch, Dr. Trần Đăng Xuan for accepting our invitation to give keynote lecture. Thank you, Miss Hoang and Dr. Nguyen Chi Long for sharing your experience of study and work abroad with us. Also, thank you, Miss Minh Hanh from JASSO Vietnam to join us today. Last but not least, I would like to thank everyone for joining the webinar today. I hope you all enjoyed this fantastic webinar. In the end, we all the story. Let's make a good one. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Quinn. Next, I would like to invite Dr. Kishi Teruo, the Director General of Sakura Science Program, his quarter, to deliver his opening remarks. Dr. Kishi, are you there?
Hello, everyone. I am Kishi Teruo. I am in charge of the entire Sakura Science program at JST since April of this year. First of all, I'd like to give my sincere thanks to all participants today. I'm very pleased that we are able to hold this webinar online despite COVID-19. As many of you know, the Sakura Science program started from 2014 and has invited approximately 33,000 young talented people to Japan. The first Sakura Science Club alumni meeting in Vietnam took place in March 2019, and now the club includes about 2,400 young, talented people from Vietnam. I'm very honored that an alumni meeting in Vietnam is again taking place for the first time in about 2.5 years. Today, I believe it is a precious opportunity to hear about study abroad and work in Japan. Moreover, you will be able to hear about some great experience from the two speakers from the Sakura Science Club in Vietnam. I hope this webinar inspires you and opens up a new exciting path for your own future career. The Sakura Science Program now welcomes young people from all over the world, and I believe it has entered a new era. We'll do our best to support the Sakura Science Club members even more. Please enjoy the webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Kishi. Next, I will move to the next sections, a speech from honorable guests. First of all, I'd like to invite Mr. Yamada Takeo, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of Japan to Vietnam. Mr. Yamada, are you there? The time is up, please.
Your Excellency, Mr. Vu Hon Nam, Ambassador of Vietnam to Japan, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm Yamada Takeo, Ambassador of Japan to Vietnam. It is my great honor to attend this second Sakura Science Club alumni meeting. The Japan Science and Technology Agency, JASSO, launched the Sakura Science Exchange Program in 2014. This program aims at developing talent of students and researchers who will contribute to scientific and technological innovation and promoting global exchanges of educational and research institutes with Japan and other countries. About 2,700 Vietnamese students and researchers have participated in the program for the past 7 years. Through this program, JST has provided Vietnamese youth with opportunities to experience advanced science and technology of Japan. I believe that alumni of the program have obtained the latest knowledge and perspectives in the respective fields, broadened their horizons, established a good relationship with Japanese universities and institutes, and made friends with other participants from all over the world. The Sakura Science Club, the alumni association of the program, was organized as a platform for the participants to nurture friendship among them and share information. I hope that the Sakura Science Club will further develop networks of participants. Currently, we are facing many challenges due to the COVID-19 pandemic. We are rarely able to travel to another country, for example. However, even in such difficult times, Japan and Vietnam have been steadily promoting bilateral cooperation in a wide range of areas, including science and technology, under the extensive strategic partnership. Both countries are implementing many projects together in various fields such as climate change, disaster prevention, epidemic control, and so on. In 2023, 2 years later from now, we will celebrate the 50th anniversary of the establishment of the diplomatic relationship between Japan and Vietnam. Prime Minister Mr. Suga said during his visit to Japan last October that our bilateral relationship has unlimited potentials. I do wish that COVID-19 will soon be over and that Japan and Vietnam will further strengthen their bonds through various events to celebrate the anniversary. I wish that the alumni of the program will actively participate in those events. Lastly, I wish you continued success and health and hope for further advancement of the Sakura Science Exchange Program and the Sakura Science Club. Thank you very much indeed for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Yamada, for inspiring speech. Next, I would like to welcome Mr. Vũ Hồng Nam, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of the Socialist Republic of Vietnam to Japan. Mr. Vũ Hồng Nam, are you there? The screen is yours, please.
Minasan, Ohayo gozaimasu. Ladies and gentlemen, I am delighted to attend the second alumni meeting of Sakura Science Club in Vietnam under the theme Sharing Our Experience in Studying and Working Abroad Today. Over the last 50 years, the Vietnam-Japan relations have grown strongly, bringing many benefits for our people. During that 50-year span, education is one of the fields that witnesses the most rapid growth ever, thanks to the strong support of the Japanese government to Vietnam via Japan's ODA program. Japan's support was manifested by the provision of scholarship from the Ministry of Education and Ministry of Foreign Affairs during the 70s, 80s, and 90s of the last century, when Vietnam started enacting its open door policy. In the following years, education has become the fruit of the trusted and sharing partnership. Japan becomes the country with the largest number of Vietnamese students. Those who studied in Japan have now become an indispensable labor force of the two countries' economies. Annually, the number of Vietnamese students study in Japan is more than 80,000. Today, Japan has been providing more scholarship to Vietnamese students, teachers, and researchers to study in Japan, including MEX, Japan Human Resources Development Scholarship, together with those from Japanese universities and companies. Our people-to-people exchanges have also grown strongly in recent years. Among those mentioned programs, Sakura Science Exchange Program is one of the best programs in the science, technology, and innovation, particularly when Vietnam plays a bigger role in the international stage in responding to global issues such as climate change, universal health coverage, and sustainable development goals. From 2014 until 2019, within 6 years of implementation, more than 33,000 people were invited to Japan via this program. Among them, 2,372 are young Vietnamese, ranking third behind India and Indonesia. This program aims to support bright young Vietnamese to get engaged with the world-leading science and technology. At the same time, the program helps to build strong network with Japan's leading universities, research institutes, and companies. Upon their return to Vietnam, these recipients will become important bridge to foster Vietnam-Japan cooperation in the field. I do hope that the Sakura Science Program shall contribute to Vietnam-Japan's trust-building process through our people-to-people exchanges. I will also do my best to promote the program with a wish to enhance the long-standing and close relationship between Vietnam and Japan. Finally, I hope that the alumni meeting would be a great success with fruitful discussion. I wish you and your family all the best. With warmest regards. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Vu Hong Nam, for your inspiring speech. Now, let's start our next program. The keynote sections. After the presentation, we will have the question and answer section. So please write down your questions using the Q&A feature of the Zoom. We are pleased to introduce our first keynote speaker, Dr. Trần Đăng Xuan. Dr. Trần Đăng Xuan has graduated from Thái Nguyên University of Agroforestry, specialized in crop science in 1995. In 1998, he started studying in Japan and obtained a PhD in agriculture at Kagoshima University in 2004. From 2004 to 2006, he has received postdoc fellowship for research from the Japan Society of Promotion Science. He was an assistant professor at the University of Kyushu from 2006 to 2012. From 2012 to present, he has been an associate professor at Hiroshima University. He is vice president of the Vietnam Intellectual Associations in Japan. He has supervised 20 PhD students and 60 master students from more than 12 countries in Asia and Africa. The 30% of students are from Vietnam. He has been Agua Kusunoki from Miyazaki Prefecture in 2010, finished Outstanding Research Award in 2 years, 2017 and 2018. He has published more than 200 scientific papers and books in agriculture science and biotechnology. Dr. Trần Đăng Xuan, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, just
good
screen your
afternoon.
job, please.
So I will start from now, is it right?
Please.
Okay. Please wait. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for providing me a good chance to share my small experience about studying in Japan. Then when I went to Japan in 1998, so let's compare. You know, at that time, Vietnam GDP was about 27 to 0.2 billion USD, and now last year the GDP of Vietnam increased more than 10 times. So you can imagine that how Vietnam economy is in that time, and we have only only one flight from Japan from Ho Chi Minh City to Japan. So I was in Hanoi, so we must went to Ho Chi Minh City and then sorry. And then come to Japan. At that time, we didn't have so many students in Japan. Then very several max scholarship come to Japan. I remember at that time only 3 students, one from north of Vietnam, one in the Hue, and one is in Ho Chi Minh City. Then no private student, I think so. So most of high building area in Hanoi now was very few. Neither platform or mobile phone, only very rich Vietnamese people can possess the mobile phone. Since we did not have any chance to learn Japanese before arriving in Japan, so when it came to Japan, Japanese was the most difficult problem. Then I met many culture shock at that time. Comparing between Japan and Vietnam, too much different. Many things I didn't know. For maybe you may laugh at me, like how to use the washing machine or electronic cook. So I didn't know. So because Japanese was the most difficult thing, so I tried to learn Japanese as much as possible in the first year in Japan. So to obtain that purpose, I tried to make good friendship with many Japanese people, especially all Japanese people like farmer and the neighbor. They are very kind to teach me Japanese and culture, and join many culture activity festival in International Student Association. Because Vietnam have kanji long time ago, like 200 years ago we used. Then from that background, I think for Vietnamese people to learn kanji, you have some convenient point. So in my case, so I try to learn kanji every day by reading newspaper. So in the first year, it was able to remember nearly 2,000 kanji. And I listened to TV every day and recorded and wrote and asked Japanese friend to check how I was correct. Then I think for many Vietnamese students, if we try, so after 1 year we can get to level 2, and after in the second years, then maybe level 1 can be obtained. So in case of mine, I try my best to make the presentation of seminar all in Japanese, not in English, to practice. So it was too difficult for me. For example, in the first seminar, it take about 3 months to prepare. So and communication, I tried to communicate with all lab member in Japanese, not in English. So from my experience in laboratory for the research, so I always go to lab earlier than professor. My professor normally he come to at 8 a.m. So we try to come at 30 minutes earlier and return very late. And after have dinner, so come to lab again from 10 until 2 or 3 a.m. Then learn experience of how to do experiment from senior student, because professor too busy, he couldn't taught us a lot, and we must learn from senior student. Keep good relationship with Japanese and foreign students. Consider about laboratory culture. We know in X Japan laboratories they have many similar but a little different. Like we can call like culture. So we must obtain. Then because professor very busy, so we try to ask professor to have an experiment and writing paper, because if he couldn't check, we cannot publish a paper. Actively showing every activity of laboratory and keep contact, good contact with senior student and professor even after graduate. Like in case of my every year in the new year, or in summer until now for more than 20 years, I always send the card, or sometimes call him or send some small gift to him. So for the in Japan, prepare for the work in Japan, we know that in Japan the recommendation culture or it's very important. For example, if you want to find a job or in university or even the society, if the professor or some Japanese introduce you, so you get a good point. So try as much as possible to obtain the excellent achievement in study. In the master course, in case I got 4 paper in SCI genre, and in PhD course about 20 paper, of which 11 paper with the first name, and all paper I index in the SCI genre. So after obtaining the PhD, so I obtained the JS postdoctor for almost 2 years. Then when becomes an assistant professor in the University of the Ryukyu, so I try to learn how to work in Japan and how to manage laboratory and student and how to find fund for research. And when I work in Japan, like one associate professor, at this time I run one independent laboratory. So it's a new stage for me. So I learned how it is really to work in Japan is necessary and important if you can understand Japanese well. So it's convenient for the work. And learn how to manage laboratory and student, build laboratory rule and culture. And the work to find the excellent student for laboratory and good staff for laboratory is important. It's necessary to learn the education and management system of Japan university and society to serve for university work, because when becoming associate professor, not only research and guiding student, so we did a lot of work in university work. And one of the most important work is to find the fund for laboratory and how to contribute for the development of department, faculty, and contribute to a university. And try the best to contribute to Japan society and other country, Vietnam, Southeast Asia, Asia, Africa. So for the my next plan, I would like to share, for the future plan, because we are working in university and as a scientist, so it's important to find breakthrough inventions that are unique and contribute to for the development of the world. We know that in Japan there are many laboratories, but each university, each laboratory, they have a unique invention and unique work, not double with the other. So it is important. When we talk with one, we know one professor, we know, wow, he's the unique in Japan to work in this field. So the unique and new finding is very important in science. It's necessary to educate human resource like PhD and master student for developing country. Of course, we have a Japanese student, but my student here from Asia and Africa. And to obtain further achievement in research, at this time I have more than 200 scientific paper and book chapter, and we try on, we are submitting several patents. Extend the international reason in research and exchange activity, find scholarship for foreign students, because here we have several private students, so it's necessary to have our students by finding the scholarship for them. And for some students still in Vietnam as a country, if we have a scholarship, so we invite them and we must apply the scholarship for university, for Monbusho. So when the scholarship come to university, we can invite our student. So the final is important that we live in Japan, so enjoy the life in Japan is also important. To do research with foreign students and enjoy the life here, like play soccer, jogging, play karate, like when I was in University of the Ryukyu, it's an origin of karate, so I enjoy. Then or play golf and Japanese and international food. Thank you very much for your paying attention.
Thank you, Dr. Tran Dang-son, for your amazing presentations. Now I will move to 5 minutes question and answer sections. You ready?
Yes.
Yeah. We have some questions for you. Dear Dr. Tran Dang-son, I know you are a co-founder of the scholarship. Can you share more information about that?
When I was a student in Miyazaki scholarship at that time, I remember that in 2002, Vietnam economy was not good at like now. So we have many poor students. They are very intelligent, but they meet difficulty in life. So I gather, Japanese people in Miyazaki prefecture. So one Japanese family support one student from entering university until graduate. So every small, not much money, but it was good to support for student life, dormitory, and for the tuition every month. And 1 year we we go together with Japanese family to visit a student in Vietnam. So in total, in 10 years, I established this scholarship with Mr. Sato in Miyazaki Prefecture. So we support about 500 Vietnamese students from entering university until graduate. And many of them now, success, become university professor, become doctor, and some come to Japan to work. And some of them, get married each other. So we stopped in 2012 because at that time, Vietnam economy, become much greater. So because in Japan, price 40 years, not so much change. So Japan's family could not support more, and Vietnam economy become much greater. So we stop at 2012.
Yeah, we have the second question for you. How to searching startup company job in Japan? Because we know you have a company, yes?
You mean startup company?
Yes.
I think if some of our students, I know that many students in Japan return to Vietnam or even though or stay in Japan, they would like to expand to start their business. So I think the most important is to have a good relationship with Japanese people. If you want to do in science, so please keep a good relationship with professor and researcher. So if you would like to start a business, so extend the relationship with people working in business like Sacho or the direct of company. So when you have a good relation, so we can extend the business. But from my point of view, to start a business in Japan is not easy. Japan economy already grow up, tax and salary very high. Then if some member of our student would like to start a business, I think to collaborate with Japanese people and to start to work in Vietnam still have many chance.
Yeah, thank you so much. Maybe one more question, and that's okay?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. We received another question. How is the research work at the company in Japan?
Could you say again the questions?
Yeah. The question is, how is the research work at the company in Japan?
Research work. You mean in to do the research in company?
Yes.
In Japan have many big company and many companies they are investing in basic research. Then to work research in companies a little, I think different from university. From university or institute, we can carry out many research in basics. You can get success or fail. But in some company, they are more concentrate on how the results of the research. But however, I think in Japan, many big company, they have a long-term investment on doing research, the basic research.
Yeah, maybe we have another question. That's okay. Thank you, Dr. Sun, for excellent speech. Could you share with us how to manage time to do many work at limit time?
Okay, I think really very good, very good and very useful question, because we have limited time. We cannot do a lot of work at the same time. For example, there are some key points. Firstly, for the staff of university, I have one assistant professor in my same lab. He really is the excellent one. And if we have excellent staff and excellent student, a good student and work hard student, so we can keep time and good staff. Even though I think in some member of Vietnamese student, or for instance, also if you wish to doing business also, so time is important. You should have a good collaborator, so you can manage the time in both in science, or if you would like to do work in business, so time important. And I think good staff or collaborator really important. And in my laboratory, we manage the student in research in different level. For example, the second year master will teach or help the first year master. The first year doctor will teach the master student, and the third year doctor will have the second year or first year doctor. And we divide in different groups. For example, right research, biotechnology group, and we have the team leader. And all students must work in their group, discuss with the team leader. So when they cannot resolve their problem, so we gather each other in in the discussion. They report to our assistant professor, and in case of difficult, if they find difficulty, so we gather each other. I do not work with students by one, except in case it's difficult or in the private problem. So I work with them. But basically, in science, we do research in group, not in individual. So we can keep a lot of time.
Yes, we have so many questions for you.
Okay.
Another question: how could you deal with the bonus when you work in Japan?
In Japan, I let my share experience. In Japan, everything very clear in the tax system. Bonus in companies different from university, and the bonus very clearly they come to the bank account. Then if you have family, so how you keep the bonus from the wife, this is the most difficult. Everything is clear. But in company, I think that they will evaluate on the achievement and how you work in the company. But in universities is somehow different. But recently in Japan, they are changing the system to for the bonus or even the salary. That professor have a good achievement, maybe have a higher bonus, but really it's need more time because many controversy.
Yes. Have another questions. Do you advise young researcher to try to find job to Japan, or better to go to another developing country or back to Vietnam?
I think based on the choice. If you want to do the research work, really Japan, I think is a really good place. If one laboratory here have mostly everything that you need to work, and if you work in Japan, you can work freely. No one intervenes to the research. You can do what you like. For the study and research in Japan, really good. but or find a job in Japan is okay. But because I stay in Japan for 20 years and I have some experience, stay long time in Japan. In, for example, if you really love in science, so you could stay in Japan really good. But if you want to become rich man, rich people, return to the old country is better. A developing country have more chance. But when we are young, so when we are young, stay in country like Japan to learn experience really important. But if you want to do research, I think Japan really good one, because in research, the love for science really important. If you think about money to become rich, you cannot you cannot do the research in science. So if we love science, so we can concentrate and know nothing about doing business, and the condition really doing research in Japan or as a developed country, yeah, it's good. But return to the old country, even though in science now, like in Vietnam, more to get fund in Vietnam may be much easier than in Japan. Now Japan economy and many problems that researcher finding the fund become more and more difficult. Very competitive to get fund in Japan.
Yes, we have so many questions for you, but due to the time limitations, we have finished the question and answer for the Dr. Chen Dong-son here. Dr. Chen Dong-son, thank you so much for answering questions.
Thank you very much.
Next, let me introduce our second keynote speaker, Dr. Lê Văn Lich, Hanoi University of Science and Technology lectures. He received a bachelor degree in mechatronic engineering in 2011 and a master degree in engineering mechanics 2013 from Hanoi University of Science and Technology in Vietnam. In 2013, he received scholarship from program response by JICA, Japan International Cooperation Agency, to study at Kyoto University. He pursued a PhD degree in material science and engineering in 2016. After 1 year postdoc appointment at Kyoto University, he joined Hanoi University of Science and Technology as a lecturer in 2017. His main research interest is developing multi-scale computational model, such as using phase field and limit element methods to predict microstructure evolutions in materials, especially ferroelectrics, ferromagnetic, and multiferronic materials. Dr. Lê Văn Lich, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, the time is yours, please.
Thank you for your introductions. So let me share my desktop. Can you see my my slide?
Yeah, we can see.
Yes.
The time is yours, please.
Yes. First of all, I would like to thank Japan Science and Technology Agency and Sakura Science Club for the kind invitation to participate in very interesting webinar today. And I'm very happy to be here today to share with you some of my experience about studying and working abroad. And my name is Lê Văn Lich, and I'm from Hanoi University of Science and Technology. Very brief about myself. I graduated from with bachelor degree in mechatronics and master degree in mechanics from Hanoi University of Science and Technology in 2011 and 2013. Then I went to Kyoto University for PhD course under financial support from Japan's International Cooperation Agency, JICA scholarship. And after that, I have 1 year for postdoc in Kyoto University before I went back to Vietnam. So my research is focusing on the electronics material, and you may be familiar with the memory devices in a computer. And nowadays you are witnessing the replacement of the hard disk drive by the solid state drive, because the solid state drive is much smaller, compact, and is faster than the hard disk drive. And the distinction between these two type of the memory devices is on the material that they use to store the data. For example, on the left side, they use the magnetic material, but on the right side, the newest version of the memory, they use the ferroelectric material that can be switched by the electric field. So that's why it's much faster and smaller. And my work is to investigate the property of the material, the ferroelectric material. And another research that I collaborate with industry companies is optimizing the chip designs. We use the software to calculate the chip performance and then apply the machine learning to optimize the chip structure. And relate to my talk today, I would like to focus on the PhD study abroad. And this is how the PhD process usually looks like. You may start with the literature reviews, develop the research objective, and then you start the research activity. For example, you are collecting the data, learning how to do the experiment, running the simulations. And during that time, you may apply for some internship in another university, institute, or in some industrial companies. And after that, you upgrade your research and complete the research activity. You may present the results, some conference, or publish some article. And after that, you write the thesis and defend the thesis before getting the PhD degrees. And in my imagination before starting my PhD, I think I can achieve all of these things very quickly. But actually, in reality, I encounter a lot of problems, and I feel that I feel like I'm passing through a labyrinth. A lot of problems come up, and I have to overcome the most. And at this point, I'm not trying to scare you about the PhD study, but I would like to emphasize some important point that may help you to do well in the PhD study. So my talk today is, I want to talk about 9 things I wish I knew before starting my PhD. So the first one is your supervisor, the PhD supervisor. And I'm very fortunate to meet my supervisor. He's so fantastic. And my supervisor always have time for me, have a regular meeting with me. And my supervisor always got my manuscript and thesis revision very quickly. But that isn't always the case. I heard some story from my friends about some problem between supervisor and students. For example, some supervisor may prefer micromanagement, that they want to follow all the steps you made in order to make sure that you perform correctly. And your progress in the PhD may be good, but you may lack of freedoms. And in other case, you may difficult to make an appointment with your supervisor because he's too busy. And of course, you have freedom, but it's really hard to make some progress in your PhD thesis. So that's why finding a PhD supervisor that match with your working style is very important. And I think you should spend time for that. Sometimes choosing a PhD supervisor is more important than the university rankings. So for me, doing PhD is like opening doors. Each of the knowledge you open lead to a whole new school of research. When you read one paper, it links to several other papers and books. So it's easy to get lost. And I think it's very important to keep your starting point and leave things out. Make sure that you really focus on what you are doing. Sometimes you have to read a lot to really understand what is important for your work. But sometimes you just say, no, this is not important and I have to leave it out. So focus is one of the important things when you're doing your PhD study. Doing PhD doesn't have to be lonely process, but sometimes you may feel lonely. And I mean, sometimes very lonely. Several students sometimes find difficulty in sharing their encounter problem with the other. In my case, sometimes my friend cannot could not understand what I'm talking about when I'm sharing some information related to the problem I encountered doing research. So that's why let's try to find a way to be connected to the other, socialize with your lab group or other students. It's a great way to discuss the PhD experience, get advice or help or improve your research and make friends. Another way to be connected is talking to the supervisor. Be honest with your supervisor. Let them know if you don't understand something. The first thing is you have to learn to accept the rejections. Of course, getting rejection it hurts, but we cannot avoid them. And this is common. Every researcher face rejection at any stage of their research career. And the thing is, you should handle it in a healthy way. You shouldn't let the rejection stop you. And a good way to deal with that, with this situation is you should expect for the best, but prepare for the worst. So that is the point we can handle with this situation. And the next one is, I would like to talk about the tiny but content progress. A PhD content process and all the papers you are readings, all the calculations you are doing, or the paragraph you are writing, that's a progress. And you may not feel like that, but that's a progress, and that's very important. The tiny achievements are important because they give you a sense of accomplishment that you are really doing something or complete something. So if you struggle with writing some paragraphs, so let's try something else. Let's prepare some sample, improve the quality of figure, and then to go back to the writing later. So even this small and tiny, but this is progress, and that's it, how PhD done. So the next is you should write the research diaries. So when I'm doing my PhD, I have to run a lot of simulation using a computer to predict the property of new material. So it's easy to forget what I did. Several times I lied to myself that I can remember everything, but then I regret because regrets from that I didn't write down and I have to start all over again. So my advice is you should write your research diary, write your decisions you made and why you made them, and write your procedure to achieve the research result, because this is very important, especially for the people working in the experiments, because they have to reproduce the result. So without the detail of procedure, so it's really hard to reproduce the result for the paper. The next thing is doing PhDs means that you are learning to be independent researcher. Sooner or later, you have to respond for several things, not only trying to get the result and writing the paper, but also achieving research funds, considering risk, manage the deadline, or making a teamwork. So let's learn about project management skill while you are doing PhD. So the next one is writings. Yeah, sometimes I found writing is too boring, but we cannot avoid writing. In fact, writing plays a very important role in a research career. Whether you like it or not, but you have to write a research proposal. You have to write a report, manuscript for the paper, the thesis, answer the review comment, discuss with your colleagues, and write the application for research fund. So let's improve the writing skill as early as possible. And I think it's never too early to start writing your thesis when you start the PhD. So let's think about that. And the last thing is be the best self. In the science and academics area, people highly evaluate the originality. And I think there is no single correct approach. Therefore, stop comparing yourself to the other and just learn to become more of who you are and fulfill your highest expression of yourself. And I hope you can find your own way to be successful and happy. And for me, Doing my PhD in Japan is a cornerstone in my long-term career, and it's really changed my life to a better way. PhD is full of wonderful experience and gives you the opportunity to work on something that fascinates you. And enjoy the postgraduate study abroad. And thank you so much for the kind attention.
Thank you so much, Dr. Levatic, for your inspiring presentations. Let's move to 5-minute question and answer. Are you ready?
Yes.
I received so many questions for you. Yes. The first question is, okay, could Fred graduate to bachelor degree and get a job in Japan?
So I think nowadays there are a lot of opportunity to get a job in Japan, even you study a bachelor course in Vietnam. And actually my student also get a job in Japan after graduated or even before graduated. But let's make your plans before you apply for the job. For example, you can attend some kind of the job hunting to learn what they really want you in the applications. For example, you should learn how to prepare the CV to express yourself in the best way. You need to learn the skill that they require for work, for example, team working, communication, or something else. So that is the point. But I think you should make a plan. And preparation is one of the key things in order to get a job at early stage after graduated. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. The second question for you is, besides sharing of work experience, can you share the experience in job hunting for the example website use tip or trick in interview?
So actually, nowadays there are a lot of the webinar they sharing the how to perform very well in the interviews with some companies, and I think it's learnings from that webinar is also important because they share the best knowledge from the companies. What they really want the applicants showing in the CV and how they can respond for the question, and what is the most important point. I think they share a lot of such information. Yes.
Yes. The next question for you is, if my professor is very nice person, but I discover that he is not good research until I have already joined his laboratory, what should I do?
It's really hard to say that it's good or not, because maybe it's, you search some information on the website that is not showing he published too many papers, just very few appear, but maybe he focusing on the industrial project. So it's really hard to evaluate at the early stage. But the thing is, you should pay attention on the first of all is the research direction. The second one is the working culture at that laboratory, because it's very important. If you are your working style and your professor working style quite different from each other, so it's easy to misunderstand each other, and sometimes it felt miserably. And my friends, one of my friends sharing such kind of experience that they are nice, but actually they misunderstand each other. So that's why they have to stop. She have to stop the PhD time at the third years and move to another lab. So it is not good, I think. So that's why in my talk, choosing your PhD supervisor is very important.
Yes, we received so many questions for you, but due to the time limitations, we finished the question and answer for Dr. Lich. Thank you so much for answering questions. Thank you
Yes,
so
thank
much.
you. Thank you.
Yeah, before moving the next program, I would like to take picture with our keynote speaker. Please turn on your video and be ready for the picture, please. Yeah, I will count from 5 to 1 and be ready. Are you ready? Yeah.
Yes.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, smile. We will take one more picture. Be ready, everyone. I will count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, smile. Thank you all for your kind cooperation. Now we change moderator. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nguyễn Thị Nhiên. Hello everyone, my name is Lê Huỳnh Sơn from Ho Chi Minh City, and I have joined Sakura Science program in 2019. It's my honor to be the moderator of sharing session from SSCV members. In this session, we will hear some valuable story from SSCV members. After two speaker presentation, we will have a question and answer session. Please feel free to write your question in the question and answer box on Zoom. The first speaker is Dr. Nguyen Chi Long. Let me tell you some information about him. Dr. Long completed his medical school and training in Vietnam. He graduated at a valedictorian position and was nominated as one of the most influential young Vietnamese with prestigious awards. He has significant opportunity to meet world leaders, including the former U.S. President Barack Obama. He completed his PhD degree in Japan at Tohoku University. Now he currently follows his postdoctoral training at University of Chicago with main focus in cancer. His aspiration is to become a Vietnamese ambassador to the world and contribute to his country, especially in oncology field and of medicine. Dr. Nguyễn Chi Long, are you there? Dr. Nguyễn Chi Long?
Yes, I'm here. Yeah.
Please begin your presentation. The screen is yours.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. I'm Long, and I'm from Vietnam, and now I'm a postdoc scholar at University of Chicago. So as you can see here is the campus where I'm currently work at right now in the Chicago, in the US. So I want to have a little bit background about myself. So I studied at her University of Medicine and Pharmacy until 2015. And after I graduated, I started my PhD program in Japan at Tohoku University from 2016 to 2020. And after graduate, I got the postdoc scholar training at University of Chicago until now. Yeah, I'm sorry, 2020. So as you can see, my timeline, I want to highlight the Sakura Science programs where I have opportunity to go to Japan around 2014. And this is the reason, and I think it's one of the important movement that I decide and change my future plan and want to come back to the country and follow my future research as a PhD student. And that's why I come back to Japan. And first of all, I want to introduce everyone about my Sakura Science program experience and why I love it so much. I love Japan so much and decided to come back. So actually, I'm the first Vietnamese student that participate the very first Sakura Science program in 2014, and this is a great opportunity to bring medical students from all over Asia to go to Japan's Japanese university institution to study cutting-edge science at that time. And what I experienced at the time is it was amazing experience that I had chance to expose to all the very advanced knowledge in medicine, as well as meet amazing professor in Tohoku University. And also, as you know, at the time, I mean, in Vietnam, we don't have so much opportunities to expose to cutting edge science and basic science. But when I was in Sakura science program, I have a chance to stay in 2 weeks in the very top laboratory in Togo University and study basic science. And I certainly realized this is how people, and people and scientists around the world innovate and change the medicine every day and make it better. And this is it was so fascinating for me to learn all of this. And not only that, Sakura Science program gave me the chance to really experience the Japanese culture. I was blessed to travel around Togo regions, which was amazing and beautiful. And especially Japanese food is amazing. And I got a lot of great friendship at that time, which many of them eventually coming back to Japan to study PhD like me. And that is the reason all these amazing opportunities that really make me change the dream, and also make me think that, oh, I want to come back to Japan to study. And that's why I decided to apply to Max Scholarship to follow my PhD degree at the same laboratory that I participate at Sakura Science program. So I decided to come back to university after I graduate medical school in Vietnam. And yeah, I mean, my whole PhD journey was amazing because I learned a lot, and especially basic science, how we discover drug and investigate on mechanisms in cancer biology and how to transform it into important treatment for a patient in medicine in general. So I think I want to tell about the best part of studying in Japan, especially now. I'm working as a scientist in the US. I have a little bit of a comparison with the research environment in the US and Japan. And I think there is a lot of difference, but also there are a lot of common. We see a lot of similarity in the advance in cutting edge science, but the difference is that I like Japanese people. I think I feel like I was very grateful to study in Japan because the mentor, the professor in Japan really teach you and give a great care to you, and that was my experience. And especially as you know, as you guys all know, that Japanese is very detail oriented, and I think in science it's very important for you to learn how to be very detail oriented, and that's something I learned a lot during my PhD time in Japan. And I feel confident to bring my knowledge around the world, because I think Japanese science and technologies are world class, and you can learn here and be able to travel and even work all over the world after graduating from Japan. And I want to end my presentation about the values I saw that from studying abroad, that I want to really highlight that some values that we cannot get if we just stay in the country. So what I see from very distinct value unique value that I only get during studying abroad is that I have a chance to really expose myself to the cutting edge science that we don't have that in Vietnam right now. And I think that we can leverage on the development of Japan's technology and science. It was many decades to develop to that stage. And I think that as a Vietnamese student, to be able to come to Japan to study, I think it was a fantastic experience. And I believe that you guys can we'll be able to find similar experience. And I think that another aspect I want to mention is that the culture. And of course, Japanese culture is very different with Vietnamese culture. And And that is a unique point. And also Japanese culture, compared with the world, is very unique. And I think that Japanese cultures will give you a lot of benefit, especially if you want to really work in science and technology. And of course, Japan culture is fascinating to travel, to experience, but I also see the aspect inside of that really benefit for my career, to be very detail oriented and be very hardworking person. And yeah, and also I think the more important thing is a challenge, which you will never really get if you in the comfort zone in the home country, because as a previous presenter really mentions that you will face a lot of challenge, like with new culture, new people, everything is new, and expose yourself to these new challenge every day make you really need to be easy to adaptable, be easy to be flexible, and being gaining flexibilities is very critical, and it is very important soft skill to be successful in any career, in any field. Yeah, and I think I mentioned three things, and I think that these three important things are the highlights that I saw during my studying experience, and these eventually feed to my self-development. And I grow a lot, and I see the very big difference between me 5 years ago and 5 years after studying in Japan. And thanks for the experience studying in Japan, I will have a great time to make a transition between Japan and the US. And I'm confidently working in the US right now with all the knowledge and experience I get from the time studying Japan. So thank you so much for listen to my presentation today.
Thank you, Dr. Nguyen Chi Long, for your really motivated presentation. And attendee, please write your question for Dr. Nguyen Chi Long in question and answer box on Zoom. And let's take a break, Dr. Nguyen Chi Long. Your question and answer session will follow later. And now, let's move to the next speaker, Ms. Hà Hoang. I will tell you some information about Ms. Hà Hoang. Ms. Hà Hoang joined SSB back in March 2016, which gave her chances to experience hand-on experiment at Kawansai Gakuin University, KGU. While she worked in Japan, she visited several other places, such as Riken, K-Computer, Green A, Sumitomo Electric, A-Cook, and Waste Treatment Plant in Asahi City. After taking back in SSB, her wish to study and work in Japan had gotten stronger. With the support of supervisors from both Vietnam and Japan, she was able to pass school admission and get match scholarship for her master's degree in KUU. Thanks to Professor Fujiwara, she graduated in September 2018, and during the time waiting for joining company, she worked as a researcher at KUU, and she also received a NITA Memorial Award from KUU and Best Presentation at ICMENS 2019. From second semester, she started job hunting in Japan, which involved many activities like attending seminar, visiting job fair, doing internship, interview, and so on. Now she working at Kyosa Corporation. She is one of the Sakura mentors based in Japan, and she has contributed a series of useful columns on job hunting. Ms. Hà Hoang, are you there?
Oh, yes, thank you.
Yeah, please begin your presentation.
Yeah, thank you. So, hi everyone. My name is Ha. So let me introduce a little bit about myself. In the next slide. Excuse me, could you turn me to the next slide? Oh, yes, thank you. So I took part in the Sakura Science program in 2016. At that time, I was undergraduate student at VNU, University of Engineering and Technology. After that, I went back to Japan and got master's degree at Kwansei Gakuin University. And at the moment, I work at Kyosia. So I can say that as a person who both studying and working in Japan, today I would like to share with you some of my story. So let's get started with the first story about student life. When I studied my master's degree, so at that time I was the first Vietnamese at School of Science and Technology in Kwansei Gakuin University. I was alone. I didn't know any Vietnamese there, even any senior, and I have many questions, many things I want to ask for help, but I have no one. But luckily, I have a good professor. He is very kind and supportive. I still remember the first day I arrived in Japan. It was early morning in the airport, and my professor, he was already there to pick me up and then have me to set up all the necessary, like to visit to address in the city office, then open bank account, yeah, a lot of things. And during studying time under his laboratory, every time I have the trouble or any help, he always help and support me. Besides, he is also a person with high responsibility and a good leader. I can say that from my professor, what I learned was not only the knowledge that I won from my master's degree, but I also learned from him how to be a good person. I think some of you here are planning to study overseas, and I hope that you will find a good professor to follow. Then the next story is about my experience going to hostel. I was in Japan around 1 month, and I had the health check at university clinic. And the doctor told me that there was something wrong with my health. And he wrote me a letter of recommendation and asked me to see a doctor in a bigger hostel. I was so scary. I don't like to go to hostel at all. But I realized that in Japan, the hostel was so amazing because they have the chill and relaxed atmosphere. Everywhere is clean and beautiful. You can see in the right side that the Sanda City Hostel. For me, that is the most beautiful hostel I have been. They have the music and even have the small indoor garden. I fell in love with that, and I feel like I was in a spa, not a hostel, and totally forgot about the nervous or worriness about meeting the doctor. Moreover, the staff, they are very kind and friendly. And in there, they also use many technology in using to, like, they have the patient registration card or even automatic payment machine. Then I can say that Japanese healthcare services are great. And if you had to visit a doctor in Japan, don't worry about that. Then another story that is about job hunting. So I think you might have heard that job hunting in Japan is very tough, especially for foreigners who don't speak Japanese well. And me too, I'm not good at Japanese. And I had a difficult time to seek a job in Japan. But fortunately, there are many things that happen, and I was very surprised of that. So one of that is about the interview. Usually in the interview, the interviewer will ask you many questions about your research. They wanted to know your background or your research skill. They want to know how much you can contribute or benefit for the company. But that time, during my interview, the interviewer, he didn't ask me the question. Instead, he suggested me and gave me some solution to help me to improve my research result. I was very surprised, and I was very happy to receive his comment about that. Furthermore, many companies also offer many visiting tours, like to see the workplace like office or cafeteria. Some companies, they are even offered to visit the dormitory for employees company sport field or even company kindergarten. I was very impressed with the company had the kindergarten. They told me that they want to encourage women to have a career. That's why they have the kindergarten, to have the women could feel safe and feel relieved to work in the company. And then about Japanese. Yeah, I said before, my Japanese was very poor, even now. And I use Google Translate a lot. So you can see in the right side, okay, my research topic was about oxide semiconductor. And in Google Translate, you can see the kanji and how to read the word. They said sanka mono handotai. And I was very confidently use the word during my interview. I repeat the word a lot during my interview, and I was proud of that. And I thought everything was okay. Only until at the end of the interviewer told me that what I said, Sanka mono handotai, was not correct. It should be Sanka butsu handotai. And I was so embarrassed at that. They also told me that they really understand that for foreigner, learning Japanese is difficult, and they know that. Yeah, of course, I know what they mean, but I think with my poor Japanese, that's really a bad impression and so horrible. And I thought, okay, I'm done with that company. It's finished. Certainly, I would fail for that interview. But luckily, I don't understand why they still contact me and ask me for the next interview. So I think poor Japanese is not a bad thing here. I think mostly it's like your attitude or the way you show for them. And job hunting in Japan, that is such an up and down experience. And I think you will learn a lot from that. And finally, that is the story about working in Japan company. So if you Google on the internet, I think you can find many information about pros and cons of working in Japan. But today I'm here to share with you my lesson, the biggest lesson that I learned. That's about collaboration. When I was a student, although I have a good relationship with my friend, sometimes I still feel like I need to compete with them. I want to be the best. I didn't want them to have higher score than me. I want to publish more paper than them. And there was something that always have the competition. But in company, that was different. I had no one to compete with. And because of my poor Japanese, I have a lot of trouble. And for that, surrounding people, the co-worker, the senpai, they are very kind. They're willingly to sacrifice their time, their work to support me and help me. And I really appreciate them. And in return, I want to help them back if they need my help. And for that, I can say that during working time in Japanese company, I totally forgot about competition. Instead, I learned how to collaborate with others and help each other to be a good teamwork. And that is the end of my talk today. And thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Hoang, for your interesting presentation. Now let's move to question and answer session. Ms. Hoang and Dr. Nguyen Chi Long, could you be on screen? Yes, and now I will have some questions for you guys. And I have received many questions. And the first question I will is for Dr. Nguyen Chi Long. And Dr. Nguyen Chi Long, how were the difference between the research environment between Tohoku University and Chicago University? And also how you cover your finance study in Japan and in US? We have two questions for you.
Okay. Thank you so much for your questions. And I think that there are a lot of difference, but also similarity between research at Tohoku University and Chicago. So I think Japan University is it's more about like, I think particular, very detail oriented. And I feel like if you describe about my experience in Japan, it's like you go to the university, there is a standard to be like this, like that, and you train it very well and you get it. But I think US is a little bit different. It's the free country. So I think the research environment in US is very freedom. So you can do whatever you want, but also the quality control is not as high like the Japan. So if you describe about the research environment in the US, is like you have freedom to do everything you want, and if you're successful, you get there. But I mean, but so I think that US research environment only good if you are very ready, you are well prepared, and because the competition is really high in the US. But Japanese research environment is I think it's a great place to study, because that is where you get trained very well. And about my how I cover my financial finance to study in Japan and US is I was fortunate to got the max scholarship. So I was funded by the Japan government to study in Japan, and together with that, I also like do some like small part-time job with the Japanese local program, like doing travel, and also get some small salary for covering by my my leisure, something like that. And for the US, I actually got the postdoc scholarship, so I also got fully funded to be able to in the US. And so I actually don't need to spend any money to study in both US and Japan.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Nguyen Chi Long. And now I have some question for Miss Hoang. Do you have any difficulty while working in Japanese company without speaking Japanese? And the second question is, could you say a couple of culture shock when you study in Japan? Yes.
Okay, thank you. So for the first question, I need to correct that. I speak 100% Japanese at my company. It's not without speaking Japanese at all. So the truth is I speak Japanese at my company, but my Japanese level is not at that high. So it's just about medium level. So in many situations, I didn't understand perfectly the meaning. But it's okay to learn it day by day, because in company about there are many words that is specific words that used in company or the research topic. That words will be repeated many times, and by that you will remember and learn that word. But I think the program to learn Japanese is just slow, but I think it's okay just to learn that. And I can say that like from when I just joined the company, at that time my Japanese is much lower. And people, they try to speak English to me. Even very single word, they try very hard to speak English. But when the time passed by, when my Japanese improved a little bit, they don't speak English to me anymore. They just say everything in Japanese. And if I didn't understand, okay, they will try to explain it slowly, simply in Japanese. Yeah, so I can say that is the situation. And I know it's difficult, but I think it's okay. And if you take time to be influenced in Japanese. Okay, and about the second question about the culture shock. If I was asked the question a few years ago, I think I could answer it easily. But because now I already live in Japan around 5 or 6 years, so I get used to with the environment here. So it's hard to say what is the culture shock for me. But I can say that is Japanese, it's still Japanese. When I took part in Sakura science program, I visit the university, and professor or even student that I met, they spoke English to me. And even sometimes we visit many places, like in the department store. Yeah, staff also spoke English. So I thought that maybe low level of Japanese is still okay. It seemed like many people was able to speak English. But the fact when you really live and study in Japan, I realized that not many people can speak English. So it means I have to try my best to learn Japanese. Yes, thank you. That's it.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Hanh. And I have some more questions for Dr. Nguyen Chi Long. Yes, I heard that you study medicine, and is there any opportunity to do research or study at a PhD in medicine abroad, not only in Japan but other countries? And how can you find out the suitable university for you to study, Dr. Nguyen Chi Long?
Sorry. So I think you should distinguish very well, because medicine is a very broad term. So it's including a clinical side and as well the scientific side, research side. So I think that most of opportunity for you to follow medicine in in different country, I think most part are in the research side that not require for you require you to go to clinic. So yeah, so I think but if you, for example, if you want to go to US to study medicine, it requires you a lot of steps. You can Google it on Google about it, but it requires you much more steps as well as Japan. So I think most of the opportunity I see that 99% to go everywhere are more about like scientific research, and I think it's very important, and especially Vietnamese medical student, you have chance really exposed to that and don't understand the benefit and also the meaning and the importance of that. So I think having the chance like Sakura Science program really give you the opportunity to understand the importance and the benefit and also the opportunity come from research. And so that is my answer about that. Sorry, what is the second question? I forget.
Could you share some online shop with you for looking for science information? Some shop that you for the science information.
I think nowadays there's so much website like PubMed.com where I normally go to looking for medical scientific research, and also like there is several famous journals, scientific journal like Nature, Science, and Cell, something like that. You can go to look for research, but I understand that like sometimes if you're not affiliated with different university, you don't have the free access to those website. Yeah, I think there's many ways to work around that, and you can contact me. I can privately share to you some way to.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Nguyen Chi Long. And now I would like to ask Ms. Hoang. There are two questions for you. That should I learn Japanese before coming to Japan? And why did you decide to work after you finish your master course other than go to PhD? Thank you.
Thank you. So the first question, certainly I would like to recommend you to study Japanese before coming to Japan. Or you don't need to have to attend the school in Vietnam or something, but I mean, like you can learn it online. There is a website that is very famous, that is NHK Learning Japanese, from the alphabet, from the lowest level until to daily conversation. And I think it's very helpful to studying that, just as simple. Because in Japan, of course, apart from studying life, you still have your life. You need to go supermarket to buy stuff, or sometimes you need to go somewhere, like you need to buy the train ticket or something. So not everyone can speak English. So it's better to learn Japanese as soon as possible. And about the second question, why did
why did you decide
decided
to work
oh,
after your master course order then go to PhD?
okay, that is personal question. So perhaps for other people, the answer might be different, but for me, I have two things to concern about that. Firstly, about the research. So, because like in university or institute, what I know is that the research, usually the basic research, that they will do a lot of things just to study and understand about the potential of that research. But in company, they need to specialize that research into the real product. So I want to see how is that process to make that research into the real one, into the real product that could be useful for people. And the second reason, this one, I'm not sure if I correct. So like when I get the job, that is permanent job. And I don't need to worry about the future. Like I don't need to about the finance problem, because when I'm the permanent employee, I will get the salary every month and plus bonus twice a year. So that is very stable. And that, I think that is very match and fit to my characteristic. For PhD, I think after PhD, you will do postdoc work. And I think to get a permanent position in research, like in university or institute, I think it's difficult to get a permanent position. What I know that usually people get like the kind of like contract, depend on year, like maybe a few years. And then for me, I feel that it's not safe about finance, because if that project finishes, you need to find another project and to continue with that. And it also depends on the budget of the lab. So for me, maybe I'm a girl, so I very worried about the finance problem. So that's why I choose to work instead of PhD. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Hoang and Dr. Long for your answer. And now I will move to the next session. Thank you, Julia. And now let me introduce our next speaker, Ms. Minh Hanh from JASSO Vietnam. Ms. Minh Hanh, could you be on screen, please?
Okay. Thank you for introductions, Mr. Sir. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Han from Japan Student Service Organization, JASSO Vietnam office. At JASSO, we provide a variety of information regarding the study abroad to Japanese higher education institutions in Japan. We also regularly update our study in Japan website with information about studying in Japan. So today, I would like to give you the information regarding the outline of studying in Japan. So from now on, I will share my screen so that you can see my presentation. And first of all, what is the benefit of studying in Japan? So there's 5 reasons to study in Japan. The first one is world-class educational standards. The biggest appeal of studying abroad in Japan is the opportunity to learn about cutting-edge technology and science. Japan is a world leader in the field of science and recently has been producing Nobel laureates nearly every year. And Japanese educational institutions don't just develop your academic abilities, and they also instill personal values such as proper behavior in relationships and earn high praise from international students. And the second one is international environment. And studying abroad in Japan offers you the chance to learn about not just Japan, but the whole world. In addition, more and more Japanese institutions are offering degree programs in English so that the need to learn Japanese does not become a barrier. The third one is affordable academic fees. Academic fees in Japan are much lower than in the United States or the United Kingdom. In fact, tuition at Japan national universities is about 1/3 that of public university in the United States. And there are also various financial support programs for international students in Japan, including scholarship, tuition reduction, and waivers. And the fourth one is rich nature and culture. Japan is known for its rich natural environment and for very distinct seasons of spring, summer, fall, and winter. and surrounded by the sea, Japan has fostered a unique culture since ancient times. And traditional cultures such as the tea ceremony and floral arrangements now coexist with folk cultural elements such as animal and manga. And the last reason is employment in Japan. Japan is hiring more and more talented international students regardless of their nationality, and working in Japan can be a great opportunity to accumulate knowledge and experience that will have your future. And this is the JASSO survey as of May the 1st, 2020 about international students in Japan. And there are total about 280,000 international students from more than 190 countries studying in Japan. And next, this is the data of international students from top 10 countries and regions. There's about 121,000 students from China, and Vietnam is placed second. And next, how to gather information. I recommend the booklet named The Study in Japan's Basic Guide as first step of gathering information. You can get summarizing information about study in Japan from the booklet. And Vietnamese language version of this booklet is also available on the Study in Japan website. And besides the Study in Japan Basic Guide, you can obtain a lot of information from our Study in Japan website. And you can find our website by searching Study in Japan. In the next slide, we will introduce the method of searching score. And there are 5 types of higher education institutions in Japan accepting international students. And the grade schools and universities are centers for advanced learning. And you will earn bachelor degrees from universities and master and doctoral degrees from graduate school. Junior colleges provide practical skills to be put to use in work after graduation, awarding associate degree. And the colleges of technology, are also known as COSEN, offer education programs focused on lab works and practical works. And COSEN develops and hands-on engineers with world-class expertise. International students start from the 3rd year of COSEN program and earn associate degree. And for professional training colleges offer a diploma title upon graduation. And besides on this higher education institution, there are also many international students studying Japanese language at the Japanese Language Institute in Japan. And Japan has quite a number of higher education institutions. I'm sure that you will find a school that fits your interests and opposite for your future career. Then, how to choose the school? There's a school search system on the Study in Japan website. You can search school based on your preferences and suggest fields of study or location on the school. You can obtain a lot of information about higher education institutions from this system. In addition, we will hold our Study in Japan virtual fair in August through September, and we will hold the last session on tomorrow. You can receive explanations from staff of study institution and chat with them to ask questions. If you are interested in this fair, please visit the event website. And next is about the application. Except for graduate school, eligibility for admission to higher education institution is 12 years of schooling and completion of secondary education. Preparation for this school admission are shown this slide. As you decide on the school you wish to attend, please be sure to check the admission guidelines. And the academic year in Japan starts in April, September, or October. And however, most of the schools start their academic year in April. And whole procedure takes more than 1 year, and so takes enough for preparation. Next, let's take a look at graduate school. Courses at graduate school are divided to 2 parts. Master programs of first phase of doctoral programs of 2 years, and second phase of doctoral programs of 3 years. And for master course of first phase of doctoral programs, a bachelor or equivalent degree is required. For doctoral programs, applicants should be a master or equivalent degree holder, and you may be admitted directly to a regular degree program, but in some cases, international students are required to go through a non-degree coordinated research students phase where they will prepare for a Greek program or just conduct research. For graduate school in which April intake, majority of schools start with their application period through July to October. However, some schools start as early as April or May of the year before. And preparation for graduate school admission are shown here. If you apply to graduate school, it is very important to write a good and comprehensive research plan which sets objective, background, rationale, methodology, and references. And when searching for school, it is also advisable to identify a possible academic advisor who are doing research similar or related to yours. Next is about the required examination. Examination for Japanese University admission for international students, EJU, is one of the admission tests required for international students to university at an undergraduate level. More than 470 universities in Japan consider EJU score in their admission process, and especially 91% of national universities require international students to take EJU. Next, how about language proficiency requirements for Japanese higher education institution? In general, lecturers in Japanese universities, especially at the undergraduate level, are conducted in Japanese language. And therefore, in order to follow this lecture, the command of Japanese language is expected to 200 to 250 of EJU score, excluding the score of writing section, or N2 or N1 of GRBT. And so in most cases, international students study Japanese language at a Japanese language institute before applying to university. If you're applying for a course taught in English, English language proficiency is required as shown. Please make sure to confirm again about required score or latest application guidelines of the school of your choice. And next is about the expenses. Let's calculate the expenses for studying in Japan. How much will be enough to cover the living cost while studying in Japan? So according to our survey, average monthly living cost of international students in Japan is about $850 US. Living expensive in the big cities are relatively higher comparing with rural areas. International students can be applied for the permission to engage in activity other than that permitted under the status of resident previous granted, which allow you to work part-time in Japan up to 28 hours per week. An average monthly earning is about 59,000 Japanese yen, and which is equivalent to about $440 US. And this table shows the tuition for students who were accepted by a Japanese higher education institution as a regular student. Generally, student fees of Japanese universities are not so expensive compared to US universities. And for the first year, you need to pay an admission fee in addition to the tuition. And facility equipment usage fee is required. And please note that the academic fees in private university are diverse depending on major and courses. This slide is a very tuition fees of Japanese study for foreign students and Japanese language institution. It's about the financial aids. There are two types of financial assistance for international students. It's the scholarships and tuition exception or reduction by each university. There are four kinds of scholarship for international students. And the first one is Japanese government makes scholarship. It's a full scholarship providing monthly stipend, tuition, and round trip airfares. And you can apply with a recommendation from your home country's Japanese embassy or your Japanese host university. And the second one is Momoka Kakusho Honors Scholarship. It's the scholarship for privately financed international students. Application will be accepted throughout your Japanese house school. However, there's a reservation program based on score of issue. If you achieve a superior score on issue, you can receive this scholarship before you arrive in Japan. And the third one is JASSO Study Student Exchange support program is for the exchange students coming to Japan based on the exchange agreements between universities, and please check with your home university for the availability. And the last one is the scholarship by private profession and local governments. And in general, applications are made by the Japanese universities, and their scholarship you can directly apply by yourself, but the number are not so many. In addition, we release a scholarship pamphlet every year, and you can get more information about 4 types of scholarship from this pamphlet. And the PDF version is available on the Study in Japan website. And so please look for the scholarship for which you are eligible. And besides this scholarship, most of the Japanese universities have on-campus scholarships and tuition exception or reduction scheme that international students may also apply. That's except source for on-campus scholarships and tuition fees exemption system on the Study in Japan website, and you can find detailed information from this Excel file. Next is about the employment after graduation. And the Japanese government is encouraging international students to stay and work in Japan after graduation. As you can see in this graph, the number of international students who find employment at Japan's companies is increasing every year. And there's quite a number of job fairs, especially organized for international students in Japan, and each university has a career advising center to help students to find a job after graduation. And please make sure of your experience of studying in Japan to work in Japan. About contact us, you can find for the details as well as JASSO's contact information on the Study in Japan website. And if you have any question, please feel free to contact through email to either the JASSO Vietnam office in Hanoi or to our office in Tokyo. And don't forget to join our last Study in Japan virtual fair session tomorrow, and you can receive explanations from staff or of study institution and chat with them to ask questions. And if you are interested in this fair, please visit the event website. And finally, this is at the end of my presentation. Thank you for your time and attention. We're happy to support you in the near future. Thank you very much.
And thank you for your valuable sharing, Mrs. Minh Hanh. And now I have some question for you. That's now you know that the COVID-19 is nowadays in the world, not also in the world, but in Japan or in Vietnam. And is there any financial for that in Japan when study?
So, sorry, that means that the financial for support
for COVID-19, yeah, support for COVID-19 for students in Japan.
Yeah, as my presentation, the financial assistance for international students is including the scholarship and tuition exception or reduction. It's depending on each university which in which where the international student want to apply. About this, the scholarship on our website, Study in Japan website, is the describe detailed information about the scholarship. It's about maybe, for example, the MEC scholarship, the JASSO scholarship, the scholarship from the local government and the organization. But the detail and time to apply is you are invited to refer the information from the pamphlet PDF version on the website, Study in Japan website, and for which the scholarship and the tuition deduction of each university, you please please contact to directly contact to each university to ask about the detail.
Yes, and I have one more question for you. That now you know that the COVID-19, so we cannot travel to Japan, and can we still apply to Japan University now?
Okay, due to, as you know, due to the influence of the COVID-19 pandemic, so each school is taking control measures such as the introducing online lesson, changing the test method, organize the online test exchange exam. So for the data of admission, you are advised to contact to each university. Maybe as I know that maybe due to some of the university are going to organize the test entrance exam via online, or you should be contacted directly to each university.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your answering many questions, and due to your time limit, so we finish the question and answer session. Thank you so much, Mr. Minh Hanh.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah. And now, unfortunately, it's almost the end of the webinar. Let me introduce Mr. Kuroki Shinichi, Director, Planning and Management Department of Sakura Science Program Headquarters, to deliver the closing remark. Mr. Kuroki, please be on, please.
Well, thank you, Mr. Song, moderator for today's webinar, and hello to all participants. I'm Kuroki Shinichi of JST, the Japan Science and Technology Agency. And congratulations on the successful ending to today's webinar. I would like to give my sincere thanks to all of you for your participation and mutually beneficial exchange of information. We would like to thank His Excellency Mr. Yamada Takeo, Ambassador of Japan to the Socialist Republic of Vietnam, and His Excellency Mr. Bu Hong Nam, Ambassador of the Socialist Republic of Vietnam to Japan, for their greetings to encouraging Sakura Science Club members. We would also like to express our sincere gratitude to Associate Professor Dr. Tran Xuan and Lecturer Dr. Lich for sharing their valuable experiences and research in Japan. How was today's webinar sharing our experiences studying and working abroad? The alumni meeting in Vietnam is taking place for the first time in about 2.5 years. So we hope you enjoyed it. We also hope the information you obtained today will help you to study or find a job abroad, especially in Japan, and help you to pursue your dream. If you have any questions, just go to the Sakura Science Club website and ask questions to our Sakura mentors. JST and Sakura mentors are happy to help you anytime with Sakura Science Club in Japan. Japan always wants the best and brightest like you. Finally, I look forward to seeing you at the next Sakura Science Club event. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for your speech, Mr. Kuroki. Yes. And finally, may I express my appreciation for your kind cooperation of JST, the Sakura Science Club in Vietnam, all speakers, and of course, our participants. I believe that all of you have a great time today. And may I remind you about the questionnaire law immediately after the webinar ends, and ask you to fill it in if the time allows. You will receive a certificate of participation after completing it to achieve it. So thank you everyone for the participation in the webinar today. We are looking forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you and goodbye everyone. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.